that?
Nobody knows why. They only cited vague cybersecurity concerns.
Hello. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets. Cause we know who we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here and stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Tell 'em I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself.
Welcome back to Brett Breaks Things. Welcome back, kids. Monday. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. I definitely did. Still watching The Sopranos. I'm gonna mix in the colloquialisms, the sayings. I'm gonna mix. It's gonna happen. It's starting to become a part of my regular vernacular. I'm telling you.
You better be careful. Some of that'll get you canceled.
You know what? So be it. What a great cause. To sound more like The Sopranos is a great cause to get canceled. No, we're watching The Sopranos. We're enjoying that. I had a good weekend. My weekends will be filled with more activity over the next couple weeks. Some changes around here will keep you apprised of the situation. I just want to mention this. Man, I got a lot of pushback on social media about me calling the cuts on PEPFAR and USAID evil. Man, you all didn't like that. You all did not like that. You know, we're not going to get into that story again just yet. We've got some other things to get to. But I stick by my statements. A lot of you said, who signed America up to fix the world's AIDS crisis? Is that your stance, really? Is that your stance? Even though we can, we shouldn't. Who signed us up? I signed us up. I don't know. Lots of Americans, millions of Americans would gladly sign us up. But keep the comments coming. I appreciate the feedback on the videos, the comments, the TikTok, YouTube. Keep it coming. Keep commenting. I'll respond. I don't know if you knew this or not, but Donald Trump is a fire hose of misinformation and propaganda. I mean, just sprays as much as he can everywhere. And he is in overtime right now because the Epstein story is absolutely dominating our social consciousness. It's dominating it. We are like a dog with a bone. We absolutely will not let it go. And he is trying. He is trying to get out here and just throw ish against the wall and see what sticks. And just issue after issue after issue. He's just giving everything a shot. He's unloading the chamber. He's unloading anything he's got. And there's been a lot of pseudo distractions lately. He wishes they were distractions. He wishes they were bigger stories, that the media would run with it and the cycle would continue away from Epstein. It's not happening. It's not happening. And we got a couple of these things I just want to kind of get out of the way right off the top of the show, because some of the stuff is hitting the news cycle. And again, it's not really sticking. It's plopping down to the floor. We got to clean it up later. I'll clean it up now. All this crap that didn't stick, it's plopped down on the floor. Nobody gives a crap about. I'm just going to clean it up real quick. I mean, we talked about the autopen. Absolutely nothing there. Constitutionally protected. Obama used it. Biden used it. It happened. It's constitutionally protected, and there's no there. We talked about that. We didn't really talk about the Rosie O'Donnell thing. I don't feel like there's much there either. She's not even here anymore. He's just trying to bring up old beefs. Hadn't heard from Rosie in years. Didn't particularly need to hear from her now, but he's trying. Yeah, that was really a swing and a miss. There's this cane sugar story. I don't know if you guys heard this. He's trying to gin up support from somebody saying we need more real sugar in Coca-Cola, right? That's one of the things he's pushing. Hey, don't talk about Epstein. Let's talk about the real cane sugar content of our sodas instead. That's much more juicy a topic, right? You can really sink your teeth into that. Well, let's just get this out of the way, okay? Each year, America consumes about 12.5 million tons of real sugar, and it produces only 4 million tons. Okay, the rest is made up by imports. We don't make enough for what he's proposing. We just simply don't. And he was quoted as saying, "I've been speaking to Coca-Cola." This is great. "I've been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar in Coke in the United States, and they have agreed to do so." True Social. This will be very good. This will be a very good move by them, he said on True Social. You'll see. It's just better. Coke then responded. There was no such agreement. He has not been in contact with Coke, and they agreed to use more cane sugar. That is fantasy land. Didn't happen. Coke did release a statement. They did say that it appreciated Trump's enthusiasm, which means basically we appreciate the free plug. Yeah, we didn't talk to you. Thanks for the free plug. Not that Coke needs more ad time, but they said we appreciated Trump's enthusiasm and pledged to share details on any new Coke offerings coming soon. They didn't agree to anything. He just felt like saying it, so he said it. Trump's perception is reality in his own head. But Coca-Cola came out. No, that's not the case, but if anything new happens, we'll let you know. Oh, and by the way, we rely on countries like Brazil and Mexico for our real cane sugar imports. Yeah, we're hitting them with anywhere between 30% and 50% tariffs right now. Which could double, triple, go away. Okay, Taco. We'll see how that goes. There was the health update. Some of you may have heard about Trump's health is failing. That's overblown. I'm sure he'd rather have you talk about his health than the Epstein files. I'm sure. That's we can see how bad Trump's health is. We can hear how in decline his mental health is, but that's just how bad the Epstein files are. Worse than that.
And I'll tell you, Brett,
yeah.
This is from years and years and years ago. I don't even remember what the year. It just came back to me. But Trump did an appearance on Opie and Anthony, their old show, years ago, and he told them that he never caught a cold. He never got sick. And it's one of those things that he prided himself on, of always being healthy and sick. So you know things have to be bad if he's willing to release something saying that he's not as super healthy as everybody thinks he is.
Okay, yes. Yeah, and he was, no kidding. And he was willing to release it. On July 19th, the White House confirmed that President Trump, 79, underwent an evaluation after photos showed mild swelling in his lower legs and some bruising on his hands. The White House physician Sean Barbabella, via press secretary Caroline Leavitt, shared the results of the test, the ultrasounds, the blood panels, the echocardiogram, and ruled out any serious issues like deep vein thrombosis, arterial disease, heart failure, and kidney problems. They actually went on to say he actually can shoot heat rays out of his eyes, he can fly, and he has super strength. Trump was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, a common condition in older adults where weakened vein valves cause blood pooling in the legs, leading to swelling, discomfort, and skin changes. The condition is benign and manageable. There is no there. Certainly not more interesting than Epstein. Let's keep going. Maybe you'll stop. Maybe you'll say, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, stop. And you'll like the story I stop on and you decide to talk about that instead of Epstein instead. Let's keep going. I feel like we all can agree that the Commanders as a nickname for the team in Washington was a little clunky. I personally am already over it. They're the Commanders. I say it, frequently. I say it with ease. I don't have to think about it. I really don't ever revert to Redskins anymore. And it's not like I'm some, young football fan where it wasn't the Redskins that long in my lifetime. No, I'm 47 years old. I grew up with the Redskins for years and years and years, decades. The change was fairly new for me, but by now, I'm over it. I say Commanders. It's very simple. Not really a big deal. It's a big deal to Trump. And he's trying to get you to talk about this. It's a big deal to Don. President Trump urged the Washington Commanders to revert Redskins and Cleveland Guardians back to Indians. He claimed many Native Americans favor the old nickname and argued the current names diminish cultural heritage and prestige. Put a pin in that. He claims the old nickname, changing the old nicknames, the new nicknames, he claims, diminishes cultural heritage and prestige. Put a pin in that. And recently, Trump has threatened to block the commander's $3.7 billion stadium plan. They want to put a new stadium where RFK used to be. Okay, and he dismissed the word or the nickname Commanders as ridiculous, and the Redskins had more market appeal. Okay, the Commanders have come out. They've given a statement. Josh Harris and the team leaders have publicly stated there is no plans to revert the old name. And although Trump has threatened the $3.7 billion stadium plans, it's owned by D.C. There's no legal standing. There's no evidence that he could even do that if he wanted to. He just said it. He just said it. And by the way, that pin, you can unpull it now. The changes followed national calls for racial sensitivity amplified by social justice movements post-George Floyd, and Native American organizations and civil rights groups pushed for the retirements of stereotypes in team identities. So, no, the Native Americans do not favor the old nicknames, okay? They do not favor the old nicknames, and the people who are affected, the Native Americans, they felt like the old nicknames themselves diminished their heritage and prestige, okay? So, do you want to talk about that instead of Epstein? No? We're done then. We're not going to talk about that anymore. There are, and by the way, now, just to put a bow on this one, Trump is trying to tell the Commanders what to do with their team name, right? He's trying to tell the Commanders, go back to the Redskins or I'm pulling your stadium. The president is telling the Commanders what to do with their name. If only anybody had ever spoken out about this, how inappropriate such a thing would be. Scotty had handed me this post from 2013. The president should not be telling the Washington Redskins to change their name. Our country has far bigger problems. Focus on them, not nonsense. Well, who was that wise soul? It's President Donald J. Trump. That was Don saying Obama should not be telling the Washington Redskins what to do with their team name. It's nonsense. There's bigger problems. We agree with you, Don. Old Don. How ironic is that? The dude just has no inventory of things he has ever said. He just says so many things to so many people in so many places. He cannot, no chance in hell he keeps track of his lies. None. Zero. And so, look, we're going to get into a couple distractions that have a little bit more legs, just a little bit. One is very new. Tulsi Gabbard and cohorts are going forward on an investigation on Barack Obama. And that's relating to the Russia interference in the 2016 elections. Okay? And we're going to hear what they have to say about that. It's a big push. You've been hearing about it. We're going to dive into the details of that. And I mentioned it just quick, but now it's gaining just a little bit of traction. The Adam Schiff thing. The Adam Schiff multiple primary residence corruption. Whatever. They're trying to go forward with an investigation on Adam Schiff and what he claimed to be his primary residence, and was this fraudulent. So these are two distractions. We're just gonna get into them real quick and see how you feel about their legitimacy. If you feel they should bump the Epstein stuff out of the news cycle.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. Brett Breaks Things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
That's exactly right. The December 9th meeting, we declassified and released what they call the summary of conclusions from that meeting. Then DNI James Clapper took the lead on what President Obama wanted done, and which was essentially create a document that tells us not if, but how Russia interfered with the election. President Obama delivered the conclusion that he wanted the intelligence community to reach, and directed them to find and essentially create and manufacture the intelligence to support the conclusion that President Obama wanted to deliver to the American people. Once that document was drafted, the deep state kicked into gear and did what they usually do. They started leaking this classified information out to their friends at the Washington Post and others who are working hand in glove with the deep state to lay the groundwork for the assessment that they eventually released that served as the basis, once again, for this years-long coup with the goal of trying to subvert the American people's will and usurp President Trump from being able to deliver on the mandate that the American people gave to him when they chose to elect him as president of the United States.
Is she going for villain with that hairstyle? I'm just curious if she's like going straight like henchman with that. Like, she looks like Cobra Commander's special operative in charge of media manipulation or some such thing. Like she looks like a little like Cruella de Vil. I feel like she's going like a little bit of a villain vibe there. She's leaning into it, which we need more heels. We need more open heels in the world, right? We need to be able to see you for what you are. Tulsi is talking about in 2016, there was an intelligence report that downplayed the involvement of Russia in the election. That intelligence report downplayed the propaganda, downplayed the social media interference, downplayed any possible chance of hacking or manipulation of our voting systems. Basically, the 2016 report, the intelligence community report, the assessment that was given to Obama in 2016, kind of downplayed in general all of Russia's involvement in our election. Okay? He then took that report and kind of gave it a different direction and released a new intelligence community assessment after receiving the first one regarding this. And the tone was changed. Okay? The direction was altered. The direction of the assessment and how it is to be interpreted. Okay? Now, we have heard a lot about Russian interference. We've heard a lot about Russian interference. And I think it's important to note that as I described this a little bit, that a 2020 Senate intelligence investigation concluded definitively, after all of what I'm going to tell you, that there was Russian interference, okay? A separate, years later, 3 years later, Senate-led investigation determined there was Russian interference, okay? Keep that in mind. On Friday, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, revealed overwhelming evidence, I don't know about that demonstrates how President Trump won the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton. President Obama and his national security cabinet members manufactured and politicized intelligence to lay the groundwork for what is essentially a years-long coup against President Trump. They are claiming. Now, that is the press release. I want to make sure you're clear about that. That is the press release out of Tulsi Gabbard. So it's important you understand that this is what they're saying. And what they're claiming in this is that not just politicized the intelligence community assessment that he received in 2016, but manufactured evidence that went into their new 2017 intelligence community assessment. They're saying they politicized what they got and then manufactured more evidence. That's what they're claiming. And they want to launch an investigation into this. They have. Now, the evidence they're talking about, it's not really evidence per se, like as we perceive evidence, like here's hard evidence that leads directly to these facts. Not really. Not really. They're saying the evidence they're claiming is assessments were softened or reversed under political pressure. You can't really, how do you prove that? How is that evidence that you feel like assessments were softened, objective, under political pressure? Again, objective. The final ICA released on January 6, 2017 contradicted the early intelligence. That's true. That's true. They received a ICA report in 2016 and then released one in 2017 that did contradict what they first got. Now, they're saying some analysts were pressured to endorse conclusions that they disagreed with. Objective. Pressured. I mean, the details on that, I mean, just that statement alone is hazy as hell. How is that evidence? And they used the Steele dossier. They appended it and referenced it in their 2017. Now, that's the one thing that I kind of feel holds a little bit of water, because the legitimacy, the veracity of the Steele dossier has been in question, not just by Republicans, but other independent outlets, media sources, people involved in the data collection of that. Some people have, they have doubted the veracity of the Steele dossier. And to use it in your new intelligence community assessment, it's a little dubious. It's a little dubious. But they're calling it treason. They're calling it treason.
People who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting president of the United States.
Will we actually see someone as high up as Barack Obama take responsibility, be accountable, maybe face criminal charges? Is that a possibility here based on the documents that you've released?
Yeah, Rachel, the seriousness of, again, the implications and the consequences of these actions that were taken demand accountability. No one, no matter who they are, no matter how high up they are, or how powerful they may be, no matter who the intelligence officials or professionals were who were a part of this treasonous conspiracy, there must be accountability. The truth must be shown to the American people in order to ensure that there is this faith and trust and integrity in our democratic republic for the sake of the future of our country.
I love mouthpieces for this administration getting out there and having the gall to say, we demand accountability. We demand accountability. Just saying, in connection with this story, we demand accountability, you're immediately reverting my mind back to Epstein. How dare you talk about accountability when you're in the process of covering up for people who are in desperate need of accountability? You're in the middle of the cover-up. You're in the middle of denying the American people accountability for these powerful people's actions, and you have the gall to bring up accountability in terms of this nothing burger of an investigation. I mean, and by the way, let's hear from Obama about the 2016 election, okay? They are saying he doctored intelligence reports to start a coup. That's from A to B what they're doing with this. Obama doctored intelligence reports, and the end result was a coup, and you attempting to overturn the election results of 2016. That's a coup, is what they're saying. They're calling it a coup, and they're calling it treasonous. Oh, well, let's hear what this leader of this coup had to say right after the election. Let's hear the treasonous remarks out of Obama. Let's hear them.
I can assure the public that there was not the kind of tampering with the voting process that was of concern and will continue to be of concern going forward, that the votes that were cast were counted. They were counted appropriately. We have not seen evidence of machines being tampered with. So that assurance I can provide.
That's treasonous.
That doesn't mean that we find every single potential probe of every single voting machine all across the country. But we paid a lot of attention to it. We worked with state officials, et cetera. And we feel confident that that didn't occur and that the votes were cast and they were counted.
Right. All right. Obviously, that is the start of a coup. There's no doubt in my mind that Obama should be brought up on charges of treason after hearing that. How dare he? How dare he say there's no evidence of election fraud and that the votes were counted and this was a lawful execution of the election? How dare he? So you heard him. I mean, that's the end result of this coup that they're alleging. That's the end result of his treasonous actions. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hillary Clinton, she broke the law by using a private email server. 33,000 emails deleted. No FBI investigation. Barack Obama spied on my campaign. No criminal findings. FISA errors found, but not illegal spying. James Comey leaked memos. No charges. John Brennan cooked up the Russian narrative. No proof of conspiracy. James Clapper lied to Congress. No files charges. Every single time he accuses somebody, it's bullcrap. Andrew McCabe leaked press, lied under oath. DOJ dropped the investigation. Strzok and Page, lovebirds plotting a coup. Fired and removed. No charges filed. Hunter Biden, no, they're there. Joe Biden, head of the crime family, absolutely no charges filed at all. It's all fugazi. Every bit of it's fugazi.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. Now back to Brett Breaks Things, smashing spin, silencing the noise, and keeping it all facts. No fluff.
And I want to get to that right now because I've heard talk of a criminal referral. Are you referring this in a criminal matter?
We are referring all of the documents that we have uncovered to the Department of Justice and the FBI for a criminal referral.
Yeah. And do you believe that we will see prosecutions? I mean, our audience wants to know where this story goes from here. Will we ever see anyone held accountable for this incredible lie on the American people?
I will do all that I can, and we have whistleblowers, actually, Maria, coming forward now after we release these documents because there are people who were around, who were working within the intelligence community at this time who were so disgusted by what happened. We're starting to see some of them come out of the woodwork here because they, too, like you and I and the American people, want to see justice delivered. So we're going to provide everything that we have, everything that we will continue to gather to the Department of Justice for that direct intent and that direct purpose.
Maria Bartiromo, she understands the assignment. She gets it. Are we ever going to have any of these people held accountable? And then Tulsi goes on to say, the American people want justice. They do. Just not over this bullcrap you're running. We'd love to see some justice. Why don't you leave Obama alone? I mean, God. Obama. Nice try. And who's this going to fall on? This prosecution of treason? Who's this going to fall on?
I really cannot fathom. There is no rational or logical explanation for why they failed. The only logical conclusion that I can draw in this, Maria, is what you're implying here directly, is that there was direct intent to cover up the truth about what occurred and who was responsible and the broad network of how this seditious conspiracy was concocted and who exactly was responsible for carrying it out.
So at the end of the day, we need to look at Pam Bondi. Is that the person who at the end of the day is going to bring us accountability? Pam Bondi?
Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, it is their responsibility to gather all of the evidence, both that we have released, the facts that have already been known previously, the information that will continue to come out, and move forward with this prosecution and these indictments.
Yeah, because she's done a great job with the Epstein files, right? Patel's handling this great. Dan Bongino looked completely unhinged on Fox the other morning. I mean, this little trio, this little dream team of theirs, Bondi, Patel, and Bongino, you're gonna rely on them to prosecute Obama on this? I'm sure they're thrilled to spend time on this. I'm sure they're thrilled to go crashing in flames on another trumped up bullcrap prosecution, politically motivated, attacking political enemy. I mean, he's just setting them up to fail one issue after another. Let's hear some analyst. Let's hear an opinion from somebody who is in a position to interpret, all right, the veracity of this, where he thinks this will going. This might be going. This is Himes, Steve Himes, or no, Jim Himes. I'm sorry, Rep. Jim Himes. I had to grab my sheet there. He's a Democrat out of Connecticut. Okay, and here's how he interprets this. I thought this was valuable.
Is there any legal basis for any kind of prosecution here?
None. Absolutely none, Margaret. What you saw from the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was not just a lie, but a very dangerous lie, because when you start throwing around language like sedition and treason, somebody's going to get hurt. Now, you pointed out that the Senate committee, then led by Marco Rubio, a Republican and now Secretary of State, found unanimously that Russia meddled in the election to try to assist Donald Trump. John Durham, special counsel appointed by Donald Trump, investigated this, found that the Senate report was correct.
He doesn't see this going anywhere. He doesn't see this going anywhere. A lot of people don't. This is going to be out of the news stream, out of the cycle as quickly as it entered. I have a feeling this is not going to go anywhere. Just like the rest of those, fabricated attacks on political enemies, the list I just gave you, not one of them went anywhere. Not one of them. And this will not either. He continues.
Here's the test. This is Epstein all over again. Criminal referrals. We're going to prosecute Barack Obama. Treasonous and seditious. Here's the thing, and I hope that 4, 5, 6 weeks from now, don't take it from this Democrat. 4, 5, 6 weeks from now, let's see if this administration, Tulsi Gabbard accusing a former president of treason. Let's see if they bring charges. They won't. They won't, because there's not a judge in the land, not a single judge, who will treat this with anything other than laughter that will be heard from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
Laughter. That's what it's going to be treated with. That's what it's being treated with right here. He says no charges at all. None at all. We're just trying to push Epstein out of the news cycle. That's all they're trying to do. That's all they're trying to do. Trump, in pure Trump fashion, shared a deep fake AI video. What I'm about to show you is a deep AI fake. All right? Attention. Not real. Not real. I think I'm going to say it once it gets started, too, just in case somebody wants to play it or whatever. Check this. Trump shared this. Trump shared this. He's such a scumbag.
No one, especially the president, is above the law.
Oh, it's a little small there. I had to take the music down. This is a fake AI video. See Obama, and there he goes, getting dragged away by the FBI. Trump shared this fake AI video. What I found really distasteful is how happy AI-generated Trump is in this video. He's just so happy to see a political enemy dragged away. Trump shared that. He shared that. I'm going to move on, but I want you all to remember one thing. In terms of Obama being prosecuted, after the results of Trump v. the United States in 2024, all presidents are immune from criminal prosecution for any acts under official capacity. Any official acts as president, he is criminally immune to. So really, we're done here, right? I mean, that really should be the end of this conversation. Biden refused to exercise that little decision. When he was in office, he could have. His final year, he could have. And he did not. He did not. But retroactively, I don't see how Obama could face any criminal charges at all based on that decision, Trump v. U.S. 2024. So that should be the end of the conversation, right? He's immune. He's immune. The other little tidbit I did want to sink my teeth into just a little bit was this Adam Schiff thing that we mentioned a few shows ago, okay? Regarding him claiming what he claimed to be his primary residence to get better rates. He talked about it a little while ago. We're going to refresh his statements on it.
Want Adam Schiff brought to justice.
I would love to see him brought to justice. I'll tell you what, I think Adam Schiff is one of the lowest of the low. I would love to see him brought to justice. He's a dishonest, crooked guy. I don't know about the individual charge, if that even happens, but Adam Schiff is a serious lowlife.
Adam Schiff's the lowlife. Okay, Mr. Convicted of 30-something counts of fraud. But Schiff's the lowlife concerning the fraud of him declaring 2 primary residences. That's what we're talking about here. And real quick, I want to remind you why Schiff is a target of Donald Trump. Why Schiff? Why go so hard on something that is seemingly innocuous and will be proven to be innocuous over time? Why go so hard at Schiff? Why does he hate Schiff?
Mr. President, the Trump administration is corrupt. It is easily the single most corrupt and lawless administration in American history. And it would be exceedingly difficult to debate that simple proposition, because notwithstanding all of the whataboutism we occasionally hear, there is really no denying it. The self-dealing by unelected billionaires like Elon Musk, the presidential meme coins, the quid pro quos, the dismissal of corruption cases in exchange for help on the president's policy agenda, the dismissal of national security personnel, not on the basis of national security, but on the word of right-wing cranks, the deportation of someone to a maximum security prison in another country on the basis of a clerical error, the mass illegal firings, the reckless use of commercial apps for classified information, the scorning of court orders, the phony math to hide the deficit-exploding impact of tax cuts for billionaires, the attacks on Social Security, calling it a Ponzi scheme, when people are making the attacks, those that are making the attacks are the con men who want to raid the hard-earned retirement funds belonging to our nation's seniors and veterans. The swamp is full, it is overflowing, and Donald Trump is standing right in the middle of it, up to his ears in the filth. And it is plainly obvious.
Okay, so obviously remarks like that out of Schiff are going to motivate Don, especially on social media, which he was motivated to go straight to social media, which was interesting in this case. What did Don say about Schiff? Adam Shifty Schiff is in big trouble. He falsified loan documents. He once said my son would go to prison on a scam that Schiff, along with other crooked Dems, illegally manufactured in order to stage an actual coup. Whatever, conspiracy theorist. My son did nothing wrong, knew nothing about the fictional story. It was an American tragedy. Now Shifty should pay the price of prison for a real crime, not one made up by corrupt accusers. Schiff responded. Since I led his first impeachment, Trump has repeatedly called for me to be arrested for treason. So in a way, I guess this is a bit of a letdown. It is. From treason to loan fraud, that is a bit of a step down, Taco. Yeah, you didn't exactly hit the mark on that. And this baseless attempt at political retribution won't stop me from holding him accountable. So what are we talking about here? And why is it interesting? Trump is tweeting, Truth Social posting about malfeasance by Schiff involving his loan application. Why does Trump have this knowledge? How does Trump know about this before even any charges have been filed. Well, according to an article written by Greg Sargent of the New Republic, it lays out some details of this that I thought were pretty interesting. Now, Trump is accusing Schiff of mortgage fraud, claiming that Schiff falsely declared a Maryland home as his primary residence to secure a better loan. The accusation came after the Federal Housing Finance Agency made a criminal referral to the DOJ, a referral, not charges, a criminal referral. Okay, now Schiff has denied any wrongdoing. He says that both his D.C. and California homes are primary residence, which is a common arrangement for those in Congress, actually. Common. 2 primary residences being claimed. It's common. Really no crime here. But the interesting part, and the reason we think, allegedly that Trump has this. Now, the memo that we're talking about, the criminal referral that we're talking about, that came from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, specifically from Joe Allen, their Inspector General. So the Inspector General, Joe Allen, sent a criminal referral to the DOJ. Now, normally, the DOJ would send its response back to the Inspector General. That is how this works. That is the regular chain of command, the regular MO of how these types of things go. The Inspector General submits the referral to the DOJ. The DOJ gives its opinion and its response back to the Inspector General. In this case, however, the DOJ's response went to the Federal Housing Finance Agency's head, William Polt. And then shortly after that, Don had the details. It never went back to the IG to continue along the normal path to possibly filing charges. It went to the head of the FHFA, who, by the way, is a Trump appointee, a loyalist, a foot soldier. So this DOJ response did not go back to the OIG's office. It went to Polt, and Polt allegedly handed it to Don. And Don went on Truth Social and blasted it out. So, is there something there for you? Is this distracting you? Do you feel like, oh my God, Adam Schiff, how could you? Something has to be done. We need to hold Adam Schiff accountable. Is that how you feel about this story? Nobody else does. Nobody else does. There won't be any charges. All distractions, all that fugazi, all of it distraction.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things.
Hey, MAGA, he played you for a sucker. He knew you wanted to know the truth about the Epstein list.
We need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
So you voted for Donald Trump. How's that working out?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Elon demanded you release the Epstein files. Meanwhile, you sent ICE into Los Angeles. A perfect distraction. Trump thinks you're stupid. He can distract you. Trump's old friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, got 20 years for child sex trafficking.
I just wish her well, frankly.
20 years for child sex trafficking. But there's no record of who she trafficked the children to? Really? Donald Trump is president of the United States. If he wanted you to see the Epstein list, he'd release it. But he's not.
I don't know about Epstein so much. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
He played you for a sucker. MAGA, you gonna just shut up and fall in line like all the rest? Really?
Brett breaks things because someone has to.
Okay. All right. And, you know, I think that a lot of you may have heard terse, superficial reporting on these stories. You may have heard it in and out of the news cycle. But yeah, I wanted to dive in a little bit. I wanted you to understand the details of these, both of these, the Trump thing and the Obama thing and the Schiff thing, just so you know, maybe even just to put your mind at ease a little bit. Like, could they actually get Obama for something? That was one of my first reactions. Like, And then I read into it and I felt better. Maybe you feel better. Like, okay, it's just more bullcrap. Same thing with Schiff, right? Schiff leads the push to get him impeached. Schiff is constantly honest about Trump and his administration. And now he's being attacked. And what'd you do, Adam? Is there anything there? There's nothing there. Everybody put your mind at ease. There's nothing there. Where is there something? Well, this lawsuit, there is something. Trump has filed a $10 billion with a B lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal for defamation over the Epstein letter and the drawing that he didn't draw, the drawing he didn't draw, and the signature he didn't sign, and the sweet messages to his dear friend that he didn't write, according to him. So he has filed a $10 billion lawsuit in Miami against the Wall Street Journal. Okay. The White House, now this is according to some Axios reporting, Serene Habashian reported on this, and the White House did not want to respond to Axios's reporting. Dow Jones, which owns the Wall Street Journal, told Axios that they have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of their reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit, according to a spokesperson. In the 18-page filing, Trump's legal team slammed the Wall Street Journal report as false, defamatory, unsubstantiated, and disparaging. All right, $10 billion. This is the first time a sitting president, has filed a lawsuit against a media outlet. Okay? Now, we're going to hear from Lisa Rubin real quick, and then we're going to dive a little bit into the precedent of this, because I think it's interesting. Let's hear from Lisa Rubin.
This feels like the shiny object for Trump to try to seize back the narrative. Oh, I'm suing for libel. We know he sues a lot when he knows he has no chance of prevailing. But is there any evidence that it isn't that?
None that I'm aware of, and particularly if you look at the reporting from the other night with a lawyer's eye, as I did, that piece of reporting was so particularly carefully worded, as if a legal department had scoured every last punctuation mark and word in it. This is not something that the Wall Street Journal took on lightly. The Wall Street Journal already likely has evidence in its possession that this document is real and or was received by the Department of Justice as part of its 2019 investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Whether or not that document then resurfaced as part of the recent re-review that Senator Durbin talked about in his letters today to Attorney General Bondi and others is unclear. But if I'm the Wall Street Journal, truth is a defense. If this document, in fact, was in the possession of the Justice Department, if others can authenticate it, either through their testimony or through documentary evidence that was contemporary at the time, I'm going to rely on that as the Wall Street Journal, because truth is always a defense.
Yeah, unlike Trump, major entities like the Wall Street Journal, when they say they're going to stand behind their reporting and they have confidence in its legitimacy, you can believe them. If they're going to fight this lawsuit, that is already the worst sign for Trump and his legal team. If they're coming out and saying we're straight fighting it, no agreement, no plea, no settlement, right? No settlement. We're going to fight this. You already can interpret it as the reporting is legitimate, airtight. All right, airtight. You just saw CBS pay $16 million, and they, and that story's continuing. But that's what it looks like when you don't want this fight. When maybe when maybe it won't go so well for you in court, right? You pay out $16 million to the administration or to Trump, right? Like CBS did. You fire Stephen Colbert. You get rid of the Late Late Show, right? Signs that maybe there was something there. But when the Wall Street Journal comes out and says, we're fighting this, we're fighting the president's lawsuit, you can believe that they have full confidence in their reporting. I do think it's fun, not just important, but fun to note that Judge Darren P. Gales has been assigned to President Trump's defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal. Gales serves on the United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida, where Trump's lawsuit was filed. Here's the fun part. He was appointed to the court by former President Barack Obama in 2014, before becoming the first openly gay black man to serve on the federal bench. Yeah, you drew the short straw on that one, didn't you, Trump? Whoops. I mean, all other assertions aside, all other hypotheticals aside, you at least know it's not going to be a Trump sympathetic ear that this case will be falling on. At the very least, it will be a fair, proceeding. It will go forward in a manner unlike a Pam Bondi would handle it, or some other sympathetic judge when Pam was AG of Florida. Yeah, that is not a great pull for Trump. Yeah, and the disclosure is going to be great on that. All right, so we're going to hear some more legal analysis on this, and then I'm going to continue to dig in just a little bit. I want to talk about the precedent of this and the precedent of Trump lawsuits. We're gonna hear from somebody else real quick. This is Howard Kurtz on Fox. This is Howard Kurtz on Fox. Boy, Fox, I've been playing a lot of Fox clips lately, and they haven't all been propaganda, spin, Trump sympathetic talking points.
President Trump has ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to release the grand jury testimony in the Epstein case, which continues to dominate the news. That will be up to a judge who must take into account such factors as the privacy of witnesses and victims. By ordering those disclosures, the president basically ensures this story will keep grabbing the headlines for some time to come.
Yeah. So in an attempt to ebb this deluge of press coverage around Epstein, in an attempt to kind of stem it a little bit, to slow it down, he's saying it's going to creep on and on forever after these disclosures. These grand jury testimony, the disclosures from the grand jury testimony, this is just going to fuel to the fire. It's just going to ensure that this continues. And he had no choice. This is his decision. But he really had no choice in the face of all this pressure. So those disclosures are going to be great. They're going to be great. Trump has had a lot of lawsuits he's been involved in, okay? There's been quite a few. Obviously, the new one, defamation versus the Wall Street Journal. He did get the settlement over Paramount Global, CBS, specifically over 60 Minutes. He won a $16 million settlement there, okay? He has threatened lawsuits versus the New York Times and CNN over the Iran coverage, okay? So far, no lawsuits have been filed, only public threats and demand for retraction. But Trump is threatening defamation, consumer deception lawsuits against the New York Times and CNN regarding the coverage. There's also a lawsuit against them representing the Associated Press. In February of 2025, the Associated Press, the AP, sued the White House staffers, specifically Budovich, Levitt, and Wilds, after the AP barred them from press events. So that's continuing. You heard about that, him just kicking out fake news and only allowing like podcasters and sympathetic media outlets to ask questions in the press events. Well, they're suing over that. They're suing over that. And by the way, there's lawsuits pending on the federal cuts from PBS, NPR. There's lawsuits over that. Litigation is still unfolding. He's got a lot of lawsuits. A lot of lawsuits. And just a little aside, this isn't the first time an authoritarian leader has gone after the press. Stalin, in 1938, had Nikolai Bukharin, a former Bolshevik leader and editor of a magazine called Pravda. He had him hung after this guy, Bukharin, helped get him in power. Shortly after, had him hung. Mussolini did the same thing. I'm not calling him, authoritarian, but it's authoritarian light.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.